in some ways, depending on our support system. If we have a lot of people in our lives, then we'll have a lot of support. If we don't, like in my case, I didn't have a lot of people. I can count on my hand the number of people that I can rely on. But that's my reality, and I don't grudge anybody for that. I'm not saying, oh, you were supposed to be there for me and you're not there for me, and I'm really hurt by that. Yes, I'm hurt by that. Because we're human beings, we want to feel a sense of belonging. We want to know that people, and how do we feel a sense of belonging is by others around us telling us that we are important in their lives, right? That's basically how we feel like we belong and we're important and we're worth something. When I started realizing that, I was like, yes, okay, there's value in that, but how about if I just twist that a little and point the finger back at me and I start finding reasons why I am valuable?
Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Mindset Master Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Reed, and I'm also the proprietor of the podcast. Today, we have a really special guest, Ms. Ashmita Madhav. Ashmita is an educator, grief support advocate, expert, entrepreneur, author, and lifetime learner. She has been intimately acquainted with grief since her early 20s, having experienced miscarriage, rejection, and the loss of her parents and husband, which exposed her to a range of profound emotions. Her story is one of love, acceptance, forgiveness, gratitude, growth, and self-discovery. A narrative that resonates with those who have faced loss or on a path of self-discovery following loss. Now, I would like to welcome you personally, Ashmita, to the Mindset Master Podcast.
Hi, Tony. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much for taking the time today to be here with me.
It's my pleasure. I'm hoping I can add some value to your audience.
I have 4 questions that I'm going to ask you, and it kind of revolves around life and grief and things like that. So are you ready to go ahead and get started with the very first question?
Yeah, sure.
On your introduction, we know that you've experienced a lot of grief, and we know that you have went through a lot of trying situations. Would you mind taking us back to your early childhood, like when you was a little girl? How did it all get started for you?
So it actually got started for me when I was in my 20s. I got married, and I found out a few weeks into the marriage that I actually fell pregnant as well. And 6 weeks down the line, things just got really crazy. The person I was married to decided that he did not want to be married anymore. So he sent me a summons. But around that same time, it was a very stressful time. Around that same time, I ended up having a miscarriage. So here I find myself in my early 20s, my very first time, just experiencing losing a baby. Yes, I know it was 6 weeks, but still, with the first experiencing something for the first time, we look so forward to it. We have all these hopes and dreams and those things that are tied in with that. And at the same time, the rejection. I have since made peace with that. I don't have answers. I have no idea why the marriage was annulled. I just know that I received a summons, and no matter how much I tried to ask questions and understand, I did not get any answers. I was just sort of pushed away and told, just sign the papers and get it over with, kind of thing. So that was a real big knock for me. I had lost faith in humanity. I had lost faith in myself. That pain was so intense that firstly, it made me feel stuck. Secondly, I didn't want to get out into the world again, which is not what life is meant for. Life is meant for living. Life is meant for enjoying and creating opportunities for yourself. And that is the essence of life. It can be as beautiful as you make it, right? And here I am experiencing this, and it's just drawing me down, taking me down into such a stuck in this dark place where I really don't belong. But at the time, it felt safe. I had the support of my immediate family, and that is my mom, my dad, and my sibling. Over a span of like 3 years, 2 to 3 years after this had happened to me, and me venturing out onto different parts of self-discovery, trying to find ways, meditation, breathing, just trying to understand. Because yes, I know I don't control the other person's actions. As much as I would like to blame the other person, you did this to me because, logically speaking, you did do this to me. I didn't ask you to do this. Why is this happening to me? So I realized at the point that as I was going through this, that my mind, it was more about me than about them. And so that experience in itself, over the years, I ended up getting married 3 years later to my late husband, which I will tell you about in a minute. But I married him. We were married for 23 years, and he passed away in 2019 after struggling with pancreatic cancer, which in itself was a wow. It was like my whole world was turned upside down just watching what the cancer did to him, and then him eventually dying, and then what that meant to me in my life. But let me take you down the path so you can understand chronologically how this whole thing happened and how loss has molded me to step out of my comfort zone and use my mind to help myself is basically what came out of all of the pain and the emotions and the loss that I experienced. So when I was, okay, so I'm going to step back. My husband that I married of 23 years, his career had been taking him to various different places. I'm originally from South Africa, is where I was born. His work took him to the UK. We lived there for a substantial amount of time before that same job brought him to the USA. So me, being, our family, as it was growing, we were also moving along in various different countries and learning all over again how to survive in this new country, how to work in this new country, all of that good stuff. It's exciting, but also a little bit daunting, and it all comes with a package. And when we moved here to the US, my mom, it was like about a year later, I find out that my mom, and within a span of a week, she had passed away. So my mom passed away. And my mom was my best friend. She was the one person in the world that I could go to because she loved me unconditionally. And based on what happened to me previously, she was my rock. She helped me get back out into the world again. So she meant a lot to me. So losing her, that death basically shook my world. So here I am. I find myself as a young mother in a new country trying to figure this all out. I turn to scriptures. I turn to meditation, breath work, affirmations. And as I was working through affirmations, learning about my limited, my belief system, how my environment molded the way I think, those kind of things. So it's been a real journey. It's like over 20 years now. I'm probably 32, that I have been practicing this. So there was a workshop that my husband and I had done about maybe 10, 15 years back. And it was basically related to mindset and what do you make of the experiences that you have? How do you absorb it? How do you let it affect your life? So that was a real big eye opener for me. And I started incorporating some of the things that I learned in that workshop and things that I learned as I moved around, continued living. Your thoughts definitely have power in your life. I found myself sort of questioning myself and asking myself. So firstly, understanding what I believe, how I view things. Let me make this simple. An example I think might help. I'm a young widow. The stigma that is associated with just the word widow, where did it come from? Why is it in my mind? I'm still the same person. I'm still me. I still have the same values, right? But the fact that I'm a widow and everything, society and culture, and as I was growing up, all of this stuff just somehow found its way into my life, into my mind. And now I am standing true to that, which to me made me feel like, okay, this doesn't make sense. How am I allowing the world out there to control me and then decide how I should go forward living my life? That is basically all of the realization that came to me. And when I realized that, I started making conscious, deliberate changes in the way I receive the thoughts that I get in my mind, what I do with them, how I allow them to affect me. And that is a practice that has been going on for many years now. That it's a habit. You train your brain to think differently. You catch those limiting thoughts that hold you down, and then you switch them into something positive that shows that you have empathy and care about yourself. Because I really have also learned through this journey after losing my husband, and my dad as well passed away a year and a half ago. So death has been something it's just, oh my God, it's, and I see you, I hear you, I see what's happened. I am not going to let you take over, but I need to understand what this means for me in my life.
If you're ready to take your journey of mindset mastery to the next level and dive even deeper into mindfulness and also meditation, well, I've got a fantastic resource just for you. Inside, you're going to find step-by-step instructions, valuable insight, and also practical exercises to help you enhance your mindset and bring more positive changes to your life. This guide is the roadmap to success. To get your hands on this exclusive resource, click the link below in the description. You know, one thing that definitely resonated with me, you had mentioned that you didn't blame others for the things that happened to you. And it's unique that you say that because last week I just released my last video and it was about how not to blame other people for the situations that go on in your life, because that's one thing that I have used as a springboard in my life personally, also as Nita, was to not blame other people. You know, I can blame my mom for all the mean things that she's done to me. I can blame my dad for not, being actively always in my life. I can blame other people for the situation, things that happen in life, but I choose not to blame other people. Now, when I was 15 to maybe like 22, it was a lot of finger pointing. It was just your fault. It's your fault. I wasn't able to get into college because you didn't do this or you didn't do that. And it wasn't until I realized that I'm the reason why this is happening. I have to change me. I have to change myself. I can't change my wife. I can't change my dad. I can't change my mom. I can't change anybody but Tony Reed. And so I love that, Ashmita. And you have my condolences.
Thank you, Tony. I think it's human nature. So I like to add empathy into any thought or experience that we have, because I found that as human beings, we tend to be very critical and judgmental of others, but also ourselves. If you really look at it, I've seen this with myself. I am so critical of myself. And because I criticize and judge myself so much, and I want to hold myself to other people's standards or the standards that society tells me that I should be standing up to, things just become so difficult. Life just becomes so difficult. I like to add empathy into it because empathy has a way of making things so much more manageable. I did the best that I could do with the knowledge that I had at the time. I know better now, but as far as it comes to blaming other people, that is the first thing we just naturally are prone to do. So I remind myself, okay, I find myself blaming other people for my situation. I feel my situation has made me feel like I am a victim. I'm a victim of this experience that I have had. I lost my husband. My life that we built, our life that we built together for 23 years is all gone, because when he died, all of that went with him. I don't know who I am right now. I don't know what to do with myself, because this is the way I've lived, and I was happy to live this way for the last 22 years. So it was my choice. I did not holding myself accountable, but also putting things into perspective. And that's where empathy, gratitude, forgiveness, all of those things come in, and awareness, self-awareness, and sort of just becoming aware of the various different emotions and thoughts that come into your mind and feelings that you feel in your heart, and then questioning them, and not questioning them in a judgmental way, not saying, oh, I'm the worst person on the sun, and I deserve this, I deserve this to happen to me. No. Let's not go there. Let's just put everything into perspective and realize that this is something that happened to me. This experience is an experience. What am I going to draw from it? How am I going to draw positive out of this? Yes, it hurts. I'm not denying that losing a person hurts. It hurts. I know the presence of it every day of my life. I'm living it. I miss my husband because losing him changed my life, and I'm still figuring it out till today. But I do know that self-help, like going within, meditating, just understanding who I am, and then presenting myself to the world in a deliberate and intentional fashion is beneficial to me, but also to the people that I interact with, because then I am not just putting myself out there and hurting even more because, oh, this person doesn't understand how I feel. Don't they know that I lost my husband? Don't they know that I'm in this space where I'm so lost and I'm so disillusioned and I don't know what to do with anything? There's days when I can't wake up. There's days where I just can't make sense of anything. Yes, but this is my reality. It's not theirs. They're never going to understand it, no matter how much I criticize them. So why do I want to go there? It's a waste of time and energy. Let me focus my time and energy on me. Okay, this is how I'm feeling. Let's find ways. Let's reach out for help. There's a lot out there, but one of the biggest things help is, for me, I found, as I said, I keep going back to meditation, breath work, yoga, making sure I'm eating healthy, clean and healthy. Exercise has a wonderful way. And, you exercise to the best of, you do the best you can with what you have. It's not, oh, I don't have that, so I can't exercise. I can go for a walk. That in itself is exercise. Okay, maybe it's painful to walk, or maybe it's painful to whatever it is. There's other forms. Let's get creative with this. Let's, what works for me? What do I need? Let's make it on a needs basis kind of thing. So, and that only starts with that awareness that comes from each individual person, because you are your best person that can help you. Once you decide and realize what you need, and then you work with your thoughts to align them and not pull you down, you're basically on your way. You're on this journey that's just, things just going to start unfolding as you, it's like a video game. You just keep moving through the levels.
That's it. And you know what, Esme, and that's just like me. Like, you know how you had mentioned earlier that when you had lost your mom, like that was your rock. So
Mhm,
about a year and a half ago, I lost my grandma. Now, I had already been doing my business right here, my TonyReedCo, for about a year until I lost my grandmother.
mhm,
And I really didn't at that time when I lost my grandmother, I really didn't have a lot of subscribers or followers or nothing like that on YouTube. When I got to the studio on set to make my YouTube
mhm,
video, I got a phone call that my grandmother had passed away. Now, I was on set just like I'm on set right now, and I got the phone call. And then that was one of the hardest things, Ashmita, that I had to do in my life, was to make a video 30 seconds after somebody just told me that my grandmother passed away.
mhm,
That could have been a career like demolishment right there. I could have given up on life. I could have been like, you know what, TonyReedCo, I don't have no YouTube followers anyway. I'm not going to make this YouTube video today. I'm going to just put it off. And, you know, if my grandmother's passed away, you know, I want to go do this and go do that. That was
yes,
a real big life shift for me right there, because that showed me how strong I am in those type of situations. That showed my resilience. And then what I had
yes,
to really start doing, I've always have meditated. I'm 39 years old now. Ever since I've been 18, I've been meditating. And that's been my way to cope with a lot of things. Like you said, like breath work, yoga, meditation.
mhm,
And I also journal every day for 10 minutes also. So after my grandmother had passed away, it was like I was meditating for like 4 to 5 hours at a time, because she was my rock. Because see,
mhm,
my mom really wasn't in my life because my mom is on drugs really bad. I'm going to be honest with you. I always tell the truth in my show. So she's on drugs really bad, and still to today's time, she's still on drugs. So my
mhm,
dad, he was in my life, but he wasn't really there. He was out riding motorcycles and working and stuff like that. So my
mhm,
grandmother was the one who took me in and from a puppy and raised me up till till I was 18 when I got out on my own. So
mhm,
it's like losing her, that was like my rock just like got hit with a hammer and just shattered all to pieces. And I really
yes,
had to work on myself after that. And I was like, man,
mhm.
I really want to work harder to help other people deal with grief and things like that, like I deal with it.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm so, exactly, resilience. You just proved exactly with what you said, that life will knock us. It will give us situations. It's like that saying, life gives you, is it lemons? What are you going to do with it?
Hmm. Yeah,
I think
make
that's how
lemonade.
it goes. But yes. So what are you going to do with it? How are you going to make this into something beautiful? We can sit here and talk about it, and it can sound also flowery and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it's easy, but it all starts with taking a journey of 1,000 miles, starts with taking that first step. I am going to invest in myself. I want to know what I can do to make things better for me. It starts with me and ends with me, actually. The world out there is just there to help us, uplift us in some ways, depending on our support system. If we have a lot of people in our lives, then we'll have a lot of support. If we don't, like in my case,
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of people. I can count on my hand the number of people that I can rely on. But that's my reality, and I don't grudge anybody for that. I'm not saying, oh, you were supposed to be there for me, and you're not there for me, and I'm really hurt by that. Yes, I'm hurt by that, because we're human beings. We want to feel a sense of belonging. We want to know that people, and how do we feel a sense of belonging? Is by others around us telling us that we are important in their lives, right? That's basically how we feel like we belong and we're important and we're worth something. When I started realizing that, I was like, yes, okay, there's value in that, but how about if I just twist that a little and point the finger back at me, and I start finding reasons why I am valuable to myself, not even to the world. That's the next level, but just starting with me. Why do I find myself valuable to myself? What makes me valuable? So that's going down to the very core of why I feel I am an important part of this world. I belong with me. That love, that whatever it is that I feel inside of me is what I'm going to turn to give me that strength, to give me that resilience, so that I can take the next step and do whatever it is that I need to do. It gives me that hope. It makes me feel hopeful, no matter how bleak things are. But that starts with me, and that is you building relationships with yourself and becoming aware of yourself. And as you said earlier, move away from that stereotypical mentality of feeling like you're a victim, feeling that you need to blame the world around you. I noticed that it's become a habit now. I don't care. I mean, not in a bad way, but it doesn't affect me that much how the world around, like my immediate environment, is reacting to anything that happens. I'm in control and I feel peaceful and I feel aligned inside of me. I am not there yet. I'm not saying I'm there yet. This is a work in progress. And that is why I call myself, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm going to be learning till the day I die, because as I move through this, I'm noticing that things are different. You know, maybe a year ago, I thought a certain way about a certain topic or a certain thing that is really close to my heart, that, or whatever it is, right? I've come a year later, I revisit that and I'm like, oh, wow, I kind of feel that way, but not 100% that way. And I feel I'm actually different. So it's like your mind opens up when you allow that positivity into your life. So it's a lot about trusting, forgiving yourself, practicing gratitude. And those are some of the tools, you know, I'm sure we're going to talk about tools. So as you said, journaling, my go-to. I've been doing it since I was a teenager. I have journaled all my life. Periods where I haven't, because life got just too much of fun and I didn't really need to journal. But I started journaling again when I had my firstborn, living in a new country, you know, all of that kind of stuff. I started journaling again when I had my second child. My third one, life was really good. And I didn't really, even though the journey to have my third child was a long one. My husband and I decided, okay, we'll have a third child. This was after my mom had passed away, maybe 2 years later. And he could see that I was really struggling. I was like, I think we should have another baby. That's so crazy. So we kind of went through this whole thing and like, are you having a baby? Do you want to have another baby to replace your mom? It was an honest question he asked me, and it got me thinking, maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure, but I want to have another child, because I had to really go into that and see why I wanted to have a third child. It wasn't, I realized that I did not want to replace my mom. Nothing can replace my mom. When we decided that, we realized that we needed to go for IVF. There was no other way that we were going to have a third child. So that journey in itself was, and through that 2-year journey, I ended up having a pregnancy. Before that, prior, I had, not during the IVF journey, but before that, I've had 2 miscarriages before that as well. You know, we decided that I wanted to have this child, and that journey in itself was just it was a lot of hard work. And it's very emotional because it never worked. It didn't work. No matter how much we tried, it didn't work. And then eventually it worked. So I have my child. So I have 2 boys and I have a daughter. I wanted a daughter. Totally grateful. And that's kind of like, a practicing gratitude, just being grateful for what we have, but also what we had, acknowledging what we've had. Forgiveness, big, 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 big. Forgiving yourself, getting back to that. I did the best that I could with what I had. I'm not going to grudge the next person, because by holding that in and holding any resentment towards that person, example. So the person that I married the first time, I can resent him for the rest of my life because I don't have answers. I don't know why that happened to me. Why did he do what he did? I don't know. I've made peace with that. I forgive him. I release it. I don't like what you did to me. I'm not condoning what you did to me. I am not going to carry that with me. And because by me carrying that with me, it is holding me down in my life. It is not allowing me to absorb or take in what life has to offer, because I'm so stuck. I am keeping myself stuck in that place. So it boils down to me again. That accountability thing is, wow. It's a thing that really, you realize it is like almost the answer. I can help myself here. I don't need to feel like I'm less than. As long as my actions are not affecting the next person, as long as my actions are providing value to me and the environment around me, there's no harm in it. So your thoughts, this is a new thing that I've come up with, that I work with in my mind, because I know I sometimes get these crazy thoughts, and it can take you to places where you really don't necessarily need to be there. And you wouldn't have been there if you didn't have this thought. If you really start peeling back the onion and you try to, where did this really start from? How did this even come to be in my mind? And I realized your brain is doing exactly what it needs to do. Your brain is a thinking machine. It's not my enemy. My brain is not my enemy. The thoughts that enter my mind are like visitors, is what I say to myself now. I will welcome this visitor, whatever the thought is. I will welcome your visitor because that's what we do with visitors. We welcome them. We treat them respectfully, right? And then I'm going to analyze this at the same time. And okay, I see you adding value. I'm going to go further into this thought. You're not adding any value to my life. You're not going to add any value to who I am or to anything. That nothing good is going to come out of this thought. Thank you for visiting. Bye bye. You've got to lighten things up. I think, this is a serious situation. I am not saying that grief, death, loss, any life-changing experience that, health, whatever it is a joke. It is definitely not. I've walked this path many times, but I've also, as I've walked this path, realized that pain that I'm feeling is not going to steal my life. It is not going to suck the life out of me. I felt like I was dead when my husband died. I felt like I had to die too. But I have 3 children that I need to take care of. So that kept me going. But inside, I feel dead. I don't feel like I'm alive. And that is no way to live. So how do you start feeling alive again? Feel like you want to do things, not just going through the motions kind of a thing.
Yes, I love that. And that right there, Ashmita, that kind of segues us into our next question right there. And the next question is going to be, and you kind of went over this a little bit, like you said, with the journaling, the yoga, the meditation, the breath work. But for my listeners out there, what other strategies do you personally do whenever you're trying to thrive in challenging situations?
So a lot of times, it's all of those single little things that knock you, those instances that you happily be going along, doing your thing, you're on track, you're living. Yes, I have this grief that's weighing me down, but I'm moving along. I'm doing, what I need to do. And then suddenly you just get knocked down because of some weird thought or whatever it is. And that is the times when I am practicing that gratitude, that forgiveness, living in the present moment, journaling. So yeah, it's all the same things. That there's nothing other than these simple little things, walking in nature. Meditation there's so many different ways to do meditation. It doesn't mean sitting the way you see these people who have, I say mastered, it might not be the right word to use, people who can sit for hours and hours on end meditating. That is good for them that they can do that. They're getting something out of that. It doesn't mean necessarily that I have to be able to do the exact same thing. I do want to meditate. I do want to understand what's going on inside and how do I work with these things. Walking in nature, being intentional when you're walking, aware. Those are all different, mindfulness, those are all different ways of meditating. Meditating doesn't necessarily, yes, you need to close your eyes. Yes, you need to still your body, not still your mind, still your body. Stilling of the mind will come as you continually build this habit of stilling your body and sitting in silence. It will come to you slowly, but it's like learning to ride a bike. You're training yourself. With anything, it's always about adopting that attitude of, I'm learning a new skill here and I'm starting from scratch. So I'm going to just take it, master it slowly, one step at a time. Your body shuts down and you feel like, I can't do anything. If we reverse that, work with it in a reverse way, okay, so I understand that I'm overwhelmed. Why am I overwhelmed? Because of these various reasons. These are all the various things that are coming at me. Let me sort of put things into perspective and work the most pressing thing that is going to help me feel good about myself at this very moment. And once I start feeling good about myself, things just slowly start falling into place on their own. They say the universe has a way of answer. You've got to just put that intention out there, and you've got to do your part too. It's not magic. As far as tools are concerned, for me personally, it has been the ones we've discussed mostly. There isn't one specific one that I do. It just depends on that very moment. What do I need? I'm overwhelmed. What do I need? Okay, I think I'll benefit right now if I just sit down for 5 minutes, quietly close my eyes and just sit there, and maybe do some breathing if I need to, if I want to incorporate that. So just having all these various different tools in my kit that I can reach out for when I need it. And when I realize that I need it, I know, okay, go and write it down, write down what you're feeling. There are other tools as well. Things like there's a grief support group. Grief is such a thing that, yes, it is a lonely place. It is a thing that each individual does. It's their own journey. So you do need to work on it on your own, because what you're getting out of it, it's teaching you something. That pain is there to teach you something. And if you can learn that lesson you kind of push to the next, what's the next thing that I need to learn, or you just learn about yourself. That pain, yeah, that's what the pain does.
We'll resume the regularly scheduled program momentarily. I want to discuss with you an amazing opportunity to actually have growth in your life. And that amazing opportunity is going to be called the Mindset Mastery Academy. Now, once you're on the inside of the Mindset Mastery Academy, the first thing that you will notice is going to be the layout. On the left, this is going to be all of the things that are going to be included inside of the Mindset Mastery Academy. So, for example, we have videos for a positive mindset. We have motivational quotes. We have mindset and mental health. We have affirmation cards. We have digital planners. We have blogs. We have coupons and monthly deals. And we also have ebooks and audiobooks. Let me go to the videos for a positive mindset.
Because when I say,
once you first enter in the videos, we have it set for autoplay. So we have a whole plethora right here of videos for you to better your mindset and also better yourself. Now, the next section right here we have is going to be motivational quotes. And then here it's going to be all of your motivational quotes. These will always be updated. So these same quotes that you see on here today, they'll still always be here, but it'll be more on top of what you currently see in here. We have the gaslighting tracker. All of these tools right here are going to be inside for you. And then you can easily download any of these right here. We have the success roadmap digital planner. And this is a 170-page digital planner. You can print this out and actually do it on old school pencil and paper. The next thing that we'll notice here, we have 25% off. Now, this is going to be for the Mindset Mastery Gold members. For the Mindset Mastery Platinum members, you'll receive a 50% discount on TonyReedCo. So we have turning the customer into a super fan. And then we also have the audiobook for turning the customer into a super fan. The Mindset Mastery Academy, we have prices starting at low as $7 per month. We have $75 per year for the Plus membership. And then for the Pro membership, we have $475 for the lifetime membership. The $7, the $75, and the $475, I'm going to be honest with you, nothing is no different. If you get the $7 one, you're still getting the same thing that you're getting with the $475 one. And if you have any issues, you can always reach out to me and my team directly at info@TonyReed.co. And another thing that we have that's inside the Mindset Mastery Academy is going to be monthly hot seats. With the monthly hot seats in life, sometimes we may not have people that we can actually resonate with and that we can actually discuss our personal problems with. See, once you're inside the Mindset Mastery Academy, all of your personal problems become the group's problems. Because if you're going through a struggle in life, if you have a burden in life that you're going through, we would help you pass any kind of troubles or trials or tribulations that you may go through. Because in life, it's better to do things as a group, to do things as a team unit versus trying to solve these things on your own. And you can ask any kind of questions, anything that you want to know, the group is here to help you. And I just wanted to quickly talk to you about this amazing opportunity to join the Mindset Mastery Academy. Now, back to your regularly scheduled program. That's just like one of the situations, Esmita, that I was in. So, and this actually kind of helped me get my career going. So a lot of people don't know this about me. But and like you said, like the universe has a way of working things out. It has a way of connecting all the dots. So what happened to me in my personal life, Esmita, was when I was about 21 or 22, I was with this young lady and she was like really, really toxic. She didn't want good for me. She just wanted to like basically ruin my life. I've always ridden motorcycles and stuff like that. And I've always owned my own business since I've been 3 years old. I've always had some kind of business, a lemonade stand, a cookie center, or just some kind of business I was doing. And so I've always been used to, making money my whole life. So I had this really good life insurance policy, and I had mentioned it to her that I had a life insurance policy. And then when she did, she sent 6 men to my house to try to come assassinate me, thinking that she was going to get that life insurance policy. So that was one of the situations right there, Esmita, where it was a lemon situation. I could have been really sour about it. I could have been like, oh my gosh, my life is over. Somebody made an attempt on my life, but I didn't. So instead of me having lemons, I squeezed them and I made lemonade out of it. I was like real leery about like meeting other people because I'm like, okay, okay, somebody I just was going with for like 3 years, they tried to have me killed. I'm not trying to go with
Exactly.
nobody else right now. And so
No.
what wound up happening was exactly, I don't want to be with nobody else right now. And what wound up happening was I went to the local mall and then I saw this lady who was looking at me. And then that lady who was looking at me, she wound up to be my girlfriend. And then she eventually wound up being my wife. When I first met my wife, when she was my girlfriend, I had told her about what my ex had done to me. I'm like, yeah, she sent 6 men to my house to try to come and kill me, blase, blase, and everything. And then my wife
Mhm.
said, Tony, well, she was my girlfriend then, but she said, Tony, instead of you crying about that, why don't you write a movie script about that? And I was like, that's a doggone good idea
Wow.
right there. So it took me
Yes.
2 years, as Mita, took me 2 years to write this movie script. And I turned it into a screenwriting competition, came in third place out of 75,000 people. And that allowed me to leave Tennessee and go out to the West Coast, like California and Arizona.
Mhm.
Then I stopped writing movies. I didn't want that certain lifestyle. And then I started selling cars at this exotic car dealership. And then on
Mhm.
my second day, I sold an $85,000 car with just my temperament and my spirit. And then what wound up happening was my sales manager, he was like, Tony, why don't you show other people about mindset? Why don't you teach other people how to do that? And that's kind of how my business, TonyReedCo, really got started. So it really got started from taking a situation that happened to me, that someone did to me, trying to kill me, to try to take everything
Mhm.
from me. And instead of me
Yes.
being sour about it, instead of me having rocks in my jaws and not living life, I am living my life now because I took that situation and I ran with it. I made a positive out of a negative situation. And that's something that one thing I realized, and just like you yourself, you're prospering out of negative situations, like sad, like troubling situations, like, you're not letting that stop you, as me. You're keeping moving forward, you're not letting that stop you. And it was the same with me. I didn't let that stop me or nothing like that. So this is just amazing to speak with you, and everything that you're saying is really resonating with me, and I'm pretty sure it's resonating with my audience as well. So yes, this is wonderful, Ashmita. Thank you so much for this, because like I said, yeah, like
Oh,
we have a lot in common. Yes, this is wonderful.
this is wonderful. I'm so, yeah, wow. I think that the more we speak about our losses in a safe environment, and also we share it in a safe way where we also not feeling like we're vulnerable, whatever you're sharing is helping anybody, helping the listener in some way to maybe do some introspection and figure, just better their lives. What can be better than that? I mean, to me, maybe others think that. I just feel like giving back is all I can do right now. I got things out of the various experiences that I had. If it can benefit someone, if it can help someone, and it's helped me, because along my journey, somebody might have said something to me and it got me thinking, and I went with it and I, made something out of it. If I can do that, anybody can do that. The same applies for anybody like yourself. And the mind is there's so much research in the mind and mindset, and how we can actually train our brains. We're not, the older you get, it doesn't mean you're older that you are set in your ways and you need to do. Even if you're older, you can still, yes, it may just be a little more difficult because we're so ingrained in what we do and the way we do certain things. But once you make a conscious decision, okay, this is affecting me. This is not giving me the quality of life that I want. What am I going to do about it? How am I going to change it? It all starts with working with you, not how am I going to change it by getting everybody around me to jump to my tune, because that's going to backfire. We see it with kids, right? You put too much of pressure on them, they rebel. Teenagers, you put pressure on them, you try to get them to conform, they rebel. And we don't want them to rebel. We want to help them so that we can share our experiences and give them knowledge, so that maybe when they find themselves in a situation that they might be making the same mistake I made when I was a teenager, they are going in it equipped with knowledge or the story of someone else that they maybe care about or maybe don't care about, but they have something in their mind. So their starting point is different from my starting point. And that's what it's about. It's like, if I can share something with anyone out there, if the words that come out of my mouth can actually help somebody, the starting point would be a different one. And to me, that's meaningful to me. And I really, that's all I want to do.
We've been talking a lot about grief and things like that, and this is wonderful. I do want to ask one question, and this is for my listeners out there who have children. Sometimes in life, things happen. Sometimes in life, grief, death,
Mhm.
things like that happen. And you had mentioned that you have three children. Two of your children, they were born before their father passed. And then you said your third child was born after your mother had passed.
Mhm.
What do you personally do to help your children with grief? Because my wife, she goes to take these things called infusions, and my wife has ulcerative colitis and Crohn's, and so she has to go every 8 weeks to take like infusions to make her feel well. So
Mhm.
her nurse, this really really nice lady, her husband was killed in a helicopter crash overseas about a month ago, and so she has three boys. The boys are like 2, 4, and 8. So I know
Okay.
her and her boys are going through a hard time because their father was killed. What can you maybe ask me to recommend my listeners to do for their children if their children are experiencing grief? Like, because a kid, one of their friends may have got killed at the schoolhouse, or one of their key friends might have died in a car accident with their parents on a road trip. What is one thing that maybe you can share with my listeners that a parent can do to help their child during the grieving process?
Children developmentally, like you mentioned, these kids are like 2, 4, and 8, right? So developmentally, kids at that age are not able to sort of make sense of death. But having said that, from my own personal experience with my daughter, who was 6 when she just turned 7 when my husband passed away, they are more, for her, it was more about, she's visual, she's seeing things happen in front of her. She saw her father deteriorating. She saw him changing from this person that she knew to a totally different person. And what we did on our part was keeping our communication open in the sense of keeping it developmental, keeping it respectful for that age. So going back to that whole on a needs basis kind of a thing. Where is my kid at? Does this child have the maturity to understand what I'm about to share? If not, it's like I have 3 kids. Each one of them is different. Each one of them processes their feelings differently. So as a parent, you would know, you'd be able to tell how to work with each one in a different way. You're not going to work with each child in the same way. So the teenagers, both of them were boys. They were 14 and 16 when their dad got pancreatic cancer. They both dealt with it in such different ways. My oldest was involved in cross country, so he would do a lot of running, but he did shut down. I mean, that is like a natural thing that just about everybody does. It doesn't matter whether you're old or young. When somebody you love dies, when your whole reality is changed because you lost someone, you shut down. You don't want to know anything from the world around you. And that's just normal. So how do we work with these different ages is basically just keeping that communication open, seeing where they're feeling, talking to them about how they're feeling about. So how do you feel about what's happened? How are you, where are you at? Do you have any questions? So it's more about getting them to speak and say something than you saying you should be feeling this and you should be feeling that. And, oh, I'm so sorry this happened to you. And sort of, let's not put thoughts and ideas into their heads that they don't really need. Maybe they're not even thinking about it. So it kind of helps to just understand, okay, this child is sad about something. Let's just talk to you. Talk to the child. Find out. How are you feeling? Is it because, why do you think, maybe a 2-year-old's not going to be able to tell you why he thinks that, I feel this way, but I just feel really sad. I feel sad. My dad was here. I wish I could go and do this with my dad. Empathize with the child. But then find ways to work with it instead of against it. Because I find that even with kids, when you're working against is when you get a lot of issues, you get a lot of problems and rebellion and pushback. But when you try to just embrace the situation, and embracing looks different for everybody because it's what do I need right now? What does this child need right now? My 16-year-old needed me to check in on him every day. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on? But at the same, and that is all he needed from me. He did not need me to be micromanaging him. I had to give him the space. I had to give him the space to be able to work with what's going on inside of him. The same with my middle guy. He turned to himself. He actually turned to solitude. He turned to his bedroom and video games. That's what he did. And my youngest, she enjoyed being around her friends and just more with people. That kind of helped her to not feel that lack of. And then also talking about my spouse with the children was also, I tried to talk to them. And I noticed that they don't want to talk about it. So I didn't push the topic. I didn't push it. I let it go. Let it go. He's not ready to talk about it just yet. But that doesn't mean I'm going to give up. I'm still going to keep trying, because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want to keep communication channel open. We want to keep that those feelings that are coming. We want them to talk about it. The more they talk about it, the more they are able to get in tune with it and move forward. Otherwise, it becomes like this soda pop bottle, like a can. You shake it and then it's just like, oh my God, this is a big explosion. So we chip away slowly at this and in a respectful way. But as I said, like developmentally, where is this child developmentally? What can they take? But, one thing I realized with the children is they like to be told the truth. They don't want to. They don't want you to sugarcoat anything. They don't want you to make up any stories. They actually do appreciate you being as honest as possible, you being as honest as possible with them, and they will absorb whatever it is they are ready to take in. And then from that point, whatever they say back to you, you work with that instead of me going into the situation with a preconceived, okay, this is how it's going to go because this is how my child is feeling. I know how my child is feeling. I don't know how the next person's feeling. They've got to tell me, even a child. So let's respect them enough to give them that opportunity to create those avenues for them so they can come to us and say, hey, Mom, I'm feeling like this. I really am missing Dad today. Oh, Mom, my friend's going to her dad, to the father-daughter dance with her dad. I don't have a dad. I'm feeling a bit sad about that. Okay, I hear you. I validate your feelings. Yes, it's fine to feel sad, but do you really want to go to this? Yes, I still want to go to it, even if I don't have a dad. Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll work. I'll go with you. I'll be your dad. Just try to find creative ways to kind of work with things instead of letting it get me down. So hopefully that's helpful. It's my way of working with it. It's not the way.
So I love the fact how you had mentioned that, it's best to tell your children the truth and then, just give them that realistic information and then they'll cope with it how they choose to cope with it and just come up with creative situations and solutions to help them cope with that. So I love that, Ashmi.
One thing I found myself as I was telling the kids the facts, and that is what I realized, I need to focus on the facts. The information that I'm sharing with my children needs to be factual. It does not need to have my emotion attached to it. Because as soon as it has my emotion attached to it, I am creating a bias in their mind. That was a big eye-opener for me. So I'm very intentional with what I say to the children. I may have a certain way that I feel about a specific person based on an experience I've had with them, but that is my experience with that specific person. My children do not need to get involved into the emotional side of it, but I do need to give them facts. So as long as they have the facts, I'm going to trust them to trust their instincts and make the right decision for themselves, because at the end of the day, that is also a way of teaching them to be accountable. They hold themselves accountable. Yes, the world around us, our jobs, whatever we get involved in is going to hold us accountable because we have deadlines, we have all of that, right? So that's a secondary accountability, or like a secondary way of being accountable. But fundamentally, I think we all need to be accountable to ourselves. And how do we hold ourselves accountable? So if I can teach my kids this from a young age, all I'm doing is helping them to have a better quality of life because they're going to do it for themselves. I'm just planting the seed. It's what we do as parents. We plant seeds.
And I love that to say, because a lot of my listeners that have children, and like I said, hopefully nobody is going through these types of situations, but this is life, and these types of situations do happen in life. So I'm happy that we're here talking about this and try to help prepare people for situations that may actually happen in life, so that way they'll know the best route and the best way to take to cope with the situation and to definitely help their children and themselves. Because my thing is, Esmita, I don't want anybody to give up on themselves or in life whenever something, whenever grief happens. Because it's real
Yes.
easy to give up on yourself and give up on your life. It's like I got a friend of mine. I used to cut his hair at my barbershop. Once his
Mhm.
dad died, now his father died maybe about 10, 11 years ago. And now he was a good kid. He was a good guy. He grew up well-to-do family, but his father had passed away from a massive heart attack. So
Yes.
when his father passed away, he started selling crack cocaine. He starts getting into the street. He starts robbing people. He starts breaking in people's houses and stealing cars. So one day, he broke in somebody's house and he wound up, getting, taken away from here. So he's
Mhm.
passed on now because of that.
Mhm.
But the whole time that he was doing that, he was blaming the fact that the hospital couldn't save his dad from the heart attack that he passed away from. And he felt
Okay.
so much grief and so much madness and sadness for the hospital that he went out and he started trying to ruin other people's lives because of the emotions that he felt in his life that was unsettled.
Okay.
So that's why
Yeah.
I'm happy that we're here today talking about this, because these things do happen in life. They definitely happen.
They do happen, and that is a perfect example of how it can. And I mean, he was probably a really, as you said, came from a good family and all of that kind of stuff. So you can't, it's not even right to judge the family based on his actions, but it's the experience that he had that took him into such a tangent. That is this the same person? And he's doing all of these things, but it's that pain, that intense pain, that spiraled him down into this really dark place, that he got so absorbed. It's like, in the movie The Lord of the Rings, with the ring, like how the ring just takes over. If you want to put some
Yeah.
humor to it, I don't know if that's even putting humor to it, but I see it as that, this grief can do that to you if you allow it.
Okay.
So catch it, get a hold of it. Okay, I'm going to ride this horse. This horse is not riding me. You know what I mean? I don't know if that, okay, I know
Yes.
what I'm saying.
Yes. Yes. So you're right. You're right. Like I said, you got to ride the horse. You can't let the horse ride you. You're right.
This is an experience. It doesn't own me. It's not going to define me. What can I learn from it? What am I supposed to learn from it, and what can I learn from it? Because maybe there's something I am supposed to learn from it. Like in my case, it doesn't matter that this person rejected you. You can love another person again. You can give others a chance. You don't have to shut your world out.
Now, one last question here, maybe before we go. Where can my listeners contact you? Do you have like your podcast or website? Would you mind letting us know where my listeners can follow you at?
Yes, so I do have a website. My website is called storyyoutellyyourself.com. I have a book that I've written, which is called What's Your Story? It's a lot of the things that we've spoken about, I've written in the book, about my journey and how the realizations I came to and different ways that I try it out to help myself. So I do have a book. It's available on Amazon. I have a Facebook group that's called Growth Story Hub. I periodically put sayings or just affirmations, sayings, motivational, inspirational quotes and things out on there to kind of tweak your brain, get your brain thinking, so like, oh yeah, I don't need to feel stuck, so kind of things. And I also do write blogs, which I put on there as well. And I also put that on my LinkedIn profile. I'm in the process of working on other things like maybe a workshop and those kind of things. None of that has materialized yet. But at this point, I'm basically out there trying to just spread the hope and get people inspired and to help them so that they can start taking those steps to help themselves. So I can be found on my website. On my website, you can contact me. And yeah, all my contact details are on my website. So if anybody wanted to speak to me, I'm happy to do that too. I can, set up a call and we can talk. So I'm open to that as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Esmita, for being on the Mindset Master podcast. And until next time, I'll catch you later.